Okay, Grand Seiko. Yeah, Grand Seiko again. This one, SBGC247. You're probably not going to like this part. I'm not a huge fan of this part either. $11,000. It's a lot of money. It is definitely a lot of money. Feels weird even holding. I'm afraid to like damage it or something. But big thanks to the crew over at Exquisite Timepieces, Naples, Florida. Link in the description down below. They've been great, sending me some amazing watches so I can check them out and share them with you guys so you can get a closer look at them. This thing is a killer watch. You know, it's so funny because like back in the day, I say back in the day, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I remember talking to my good buddy Bruce Williams, which congrats to him. He just passed the 100,000 mark on his YouTube channel. But I remember we were both kind of talking about Breitling, and we were looking for models that had like everything, right? So I had like, it was a chronograph, it was a GMT, it just did everything, right? It had all the stuff in it. And this one kind of reminds me of that. This is like Grand Seiko Flex, right? I know there's bigger, badder, crazier Grand Seikos out there, but this one, 11,000, yes, it's a lot of money, but it's kind of obtainable if you really think about it for what a lot of us spend in watches. Like you could sell probably, again, it's not lost on me that it's not a lot of money, but some of us have $1,000 watches. Well, you could have just bought one of these or something really like substantial like this, right? So thinking of it that way, like what are you getting? This is such a flex from Grand Seiko at this price point. You're getting spring drive, GMT, chronograph, beautiful dial, titanium. It's just an incredible movement to the point where it's a column wheel, spring drive as well, which is crazy. I had to peel the sticker off the back. I don't normally do that with brand new watches, but we have to take a look at the movement. And that's the only way we're going to get a clear picture of it. So it's a column wheel, spring drive, automatic chronograph. It's just incredible. So even when you activate the chronograph, which we can do right now, when you stop it, it doesn't stop at the nearest second. It stops exactly where you push the button. I read that and I was like, I guess I didn't really think about that. I think most other chronographs stop at the closest second. They don't just stop exactly where you stop it. It's the way they're indexed, I guess. This one's not done that way. So pretty unique. Let's take a closer look as I'm talking about it. Kind of has a snowflake kind of dial to it. The other thing I noticed on the dial, and it might be hard to capture, but I almost get the feeling that those Arabics, those numbers, so like the GMT numbers, the 1, the 3, the 5, 7 going all the way around, and even the sub-dial ones, I was trying to take a closer look, which it's difficult for me to do with this particular setup. They almost look like they're applied and not printed on. They have like a little bit of a height to them. It's hard to see, but it's just one of those things. Grand Seiko finish is, you know, incredible. So there's no way of getting around that. I mean, it's top tier stuff. Look how sharp those hands are. They play with the light really good. Look at the smooth sweep of the chronograph hand. You have the running seconds where it says spring drive over there at the 9 o'clock, that sub dial. You're keeping track of the minutes up there in between the 2 and 3 o'clock indexes. And then you have a 12-hour counter down between the 4 and 5. Frame date window, just a beautiful watch. And now that we've done all that, we're going to zoom back out and we're going to talk about the size, because that's typically how I start these videos, and I kind of jumped ahead. So the case on this, I measure 43.3 millimeter, lug to lug, 50.5 millimeter, nice turn down on those lugs, drilled. Thickness, 16.5. We're going to give it a pass, guys, 16.5. That's not incredibly thick for a spring drive, automatic, whatever, chronograph, GMT. It has multiple complications, right? So it's going to add the thickness. It has a 100-meter water resist. Oddball lug width here, 21 millimeter. Do I care? Not really, because it's probably going to stay on bracelet. Definitely because it's titanium and the bracelet is actually really nice. Does have half links. Tapers down to 18 mil. You have a screw down crown, 7 millimeter, and it is, you know, it protrudes out from the case just like the other pushers do, which are also screwed down so you can like activate them or not activate them. And with all of its links, weighs in at 127 gram. So very, very cool watch. Let's put it on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. This thing feels amazing on wrist. Would I buy this? I think I would. If I had $11,000 and I was in the right mindset that Grand Seiko is what I want, I had $11,000 to spend, I'm thinking I'm walking out of the store with this watch. It's just a flex. It's a Grand Seiko flex at that price point. It is titanium. It is white dial. It just checks a lot of boxes for me. It has a nice clasp, double pushers. It has a nice contour to it. It has 4 micro adjust. This one works for me. It would wear really good. Am I going to buy it? No, probably not. It's $11,000. I'm not spending $11,000 on a watch right now. But a lot of people are. The Grand Seikos are, they're getting a lot of attention, we'll just say. Way more attention than I suspected they would. Now I'm going to zoom in again because we want to take a look at the case back, but I also want to zoom in while I operate the chronograph. So when we stop it, it stops exactly where I push it, okay? It's not even at the mark right now. You can see it's in between the mark. That's what I'm talking about. The reset snaps back instantly. And then you can screw these down, and that'll help you keep your water resistance so you can't push those. It makes them inoperable. So you're locked in. Now, if we look at the case back, we have a beautiful display case back. The weight on the rotor is 18 karat yellow gold. That little medallion, it's actually yellow gold. That's really cool. And I have a lot of smudging on this. Let me kind of wipe that up so we can see it a little more clearly. So in between those two little gold colored gears, you can see that's the column wheel right there. Okay. Also, you'll notice on that plate right there that's nicely finished, this thing has 50 jewels. I don't even know where they're putting them all. I know there's a lot going on with this watch, but 50 jewels, that's pretty impressive. All right, now let's unscrew the crown. Winding a spring drive, a little weird feeling, not gonna lie. But I wanna show you that it is a Traveler's GMT. So we have a jump hour here, and that is also how you set the date, okay? The GMT hand is very petite. It's very slim and goes out and points with a black arrow tip to the GMT, the 24-hour track on the outside. If you want to adjust that, you have to pop it all the way out, and then you rotate this around, and then you'll be able to adjust that. That's the way that works. No loom on this, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. It's kind of a dress, sport, chronograph, GMT, spring drive. It's all of those things. Do we really need loom? Probably not. If you're going out at night, you're probably going to be in a place where there's enough light to reflect off these high polished bits underneath here to still be able to tell the time. Or if you absolutely need a watch with loom, just swap out your watch. Because if you're probably buying this watch, you probably have other watches. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next vid.